Hello everyone and welcome to Inner Secrets Revealed Kabbalah class with Dr. Gil Tivon. Welcome back everybody, and thanks everyone who's just joining us for the first time, whether you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Spotify, or our new app which will be up and running within the next few months, or whether you're listening to the replay from this podcast. Thanks for joining us. Remember, first we'll be having the lecture portion of the class, and then we'll be opening things up to discussion and questions and answers during the interactive portion of the class. If you could please be so kind as to keep yourselves on mute until the interactive portion, we'd greatly appreciate that so we can keep an organized environment for teaching and learning from one another. If you do have any questions or comments during the lecture portion, please feel free to write them in the group chat, or you can send them to either myself or Dr. Gil Tivon in a private message, and we'll be sure to do our best to address them during the interactive portion of the podcast. So we have a great episode ahead of us today. This week we'll be discussing the, I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, the Etz-Chaim or Etz-Chaim, and we will go over again what we've learned so far about the Tree of Life and dive deeper into its sacred and mystical structure and meaning. So, okay, without further ado, everybody, Dr. Gil. Dr. Gil, everyone.
Good evening to you all. Good evening, my friend Mike. It's going to be a very interesting lecture. So we have dealt with many issues so far, which was introductory. So whoever is joining us first time, please mute yourself. There will be time to ask your questions either during the lecture, through the chat, or after the lecture, which is about 50 minutes, you can actually come online, and ask your questions. So today, the mission, the objective, the goal is to arrive already at starting to understand the structure of the Tree of Life. But for those who joined us first time, like myself, I'm going to give you just a bit of introduction to understand what is the Tree of Life, what is the Kabbalah, just in the gist of it, in short, that we understand all of us where we're holding, so that whoever is joining us first time or in the first times does not feel left out, and you can definitely jump on board. So Kabbalah, first of all, is an old, ancient, mystical tradition that was handed down to us for close to 5,000 years. The first ones were actually the first man who wrote the book of Raziel, and it was handed down to him by his own archangel. That's the name of his angel, Raziel. Later on, it was handed down through Abraham, the forefather, who wrote the book of creation, which is very famous. It's a very secretive, sacred book which deals with incantations, meditations, secret geometries, and all kind of other quite complex stuff. I had the privilege to learn it and to teach it a few times with myself, with others, with large groups also of doctors, and we will be using some of that as we go along, and I will spice it up for you as we do. It culminated 2,000 years back with the Holy Zohar was written in Sephirot in Israel, more likely in the cave when Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was hiding in the cave away from the Romans, who eventually pursued his life. And so he wrote a whole library. It's not a book, it's a library. And about 900 years ago, it was sent from Spain all the way to Italy on the back of 13 camels. So imagine to yourself the weight and the expanse of the library of what we are handed down in Kabbalah. And since then, about 500 years ago, lived a very, very huge giant called Rizal. He lived in Sephirot as well, and he was very close to prophecy, had Holy Spirit, and he left us with incredible books called Etz-Chaim, which means the Tree of Life. And he is the one who expanded and elaborated on the Holy Zohar. And this is the tradition that we have all the way handed down. So it's not philosophizing, it's not theology, which means we as human beings think something up. No, it is Kabbalah, which means by definition in the ancient Hebrew, is the word that we handed down all the way from God through archangels, through different kind of spiritual masters devoted their lives to that we trust one spiritual teacher to the other all the way till today. So we've got a direct lineage of handing over this till today, going back 5,000 years. So it wasn't learned in university only. It wasn't somebody that thought about and just thought about maybe it's the right way or not. This is what we handed. And of course, the first thing is to be given that. And the second thing is to try to decipher it and turn it into our day and age. So we want to start today with the tree of life, which means as follows. We know that a human being is created as or is analogous rather to the tree of the field. This is what we are told in the book of Deuteronomy, which is chapter 20, verse 19. A man is like a tree of the field. What does it mean? So it means superficially that we look like a tree. So it bothered me for quite a few years. How do I look like a tree? Because if my feet are in the ground and my feet are my roots, well, that should be something that looks more like my leaves, but my head doesn't look like leaves very much. And so Kabbalah tells us it's the other way around. These are my roots, and my crown chakra, or my crown Sephirot, is all the way connected up to my higher self and to God. And the trunk is my body, my two hands, my two legs are my branches, and my leaves and the fruits are either children or students or books or things that you do in your life, good actions, good deeds, in which you bring into fruition everything that you are actually doing and growing through your life. So this is the tree of life. But even that definition is, even though it's deep, nevertheless, it's still on a surface level when it comes to the actual tree of life. So if Mike can maybe bring up one of the pictures that we have of the tree of life and share with us and show us, if you can have it online. If not, I'll be able to do so with you as I have it right under my arm right here. Let me just have a look one sec. And so the tree of life looks something like that. This is in 3D. Let me see if you can see that. This is the tree of life as it looks in 3D. It's not only 2D, but it's a 3D kind of tree. And it works all the way up from the top. Let me show you the other picture. It's more elaborated, more explained, right? So here you have the tree of life where there's the divine connection up at the top, and then different parts of it come all the way down till our world where we live our own normal earthly existence in this world. And so this tree of life, which is very important, is not separated from who we are. It is not a different kind of creation. This is us. In other words, when we look about the 7 chakras, which everybody knows about, or most of us know a little bit about, this is within us. The same very much applies to the tree of life. It is right within us. What is the great difference, first of all, between the 7 chakras and the 10 spheres? Because Eastern religion brings down 7 chakras, which seems to be working very well, and it does. So what are we lacking? And what we're lacking is exactly what we're going to discuss today. 7 chakras speak about one line. That line is all the way down, all the way from my crown chakra, through my third eye, through my throat chakra, which is the chakra of my communication, very good, going down to my heart chakra, and then to my solar plexus, and all the way down to my sacrum and to my root chakra. But thank you, Mike, that's very good. Let's stay there a minute. And that kind of structure is very good, but it only defines a middle line. Comes Kabbalah long before the 7 chakras, long before, not after, long before the 7 chakras, and says, look, why is the structure of a human being made in such a way that I've got middle line, and that middle line, I've got only one heart. I've got only one pancreas, only one liver, only one tummy, one abdomen, one diaphragm. That's very true. And one head. It's very true. That's the middle line. But there's only one heart. But, and one mouth, thank God it's only one. But I do have a right line and a left line within me, right pillar, left pillar, and these seem to be symmetrically doubled, but they don't act, they don't behave the same. I can't write with my left hand the same as with my right. I can't kick a ball with my left foot the same as with my right. So why do we have these two sides which are not defined, which are excluded by the chakra system? And the answer is because the 10 Sephirot are very wide definition, which includes everything, not only in the human body, any organism, any company, any planet, our solar system, the very structure of the atom, quantum physics, everything is defined this way. And don't only believe me when I tell you, also as a scientist myself, but go and listen to some great names out there which delve into this and understand this. And there are scientists, doctors of science, professors of science that tell you that when they research the quarks, the ferrons, the inner structure of the universe, of quantum physics, from the large microscale galaxies to the microscale quarks and ferrons of creation, this and our DNA, our very DNA, that includes everything of human beings, of the plant world, of the inanimate world, and of the animal world, that will be included within this incredible structure of the 10 Sephirot. Now, how come? What does it mean? So we're going to discuss it now. The name that we're going to swap, and again, our assumption is that you don't know enough yet, so welcome on board, and I'm going to share with you this knowledge, this secrets, mystical knowledge, to first of all understand the language, because some of the words might be foreign to you. Chakras, right, which comes more from the Indian, from the Eastern religions, means centers of energy. Very good, and this is true. Nobody negates that. With all respect, this is absolutely true. But as I said, we are human beings, and we find ourselves with 2 hands, 2 legs, 2 kidneys, 2 eyes, 2 nostrils, 2 ears. Why are things doubled in our human body? The chakras do not cover or explain this incredible, weird, strange, yet beautiful creation in the image of God that we walk with every day. That's where the Etz-Chaim, the tree of life, comes in and explains to us everything in detail. So let's go through this slowly. First, the word Sephirah. The word Sephirah, and let me see if I can write it here. I can definitely can. Sephirah. You can write it with a PH or with just a P. The word Sephirah, right, I wrote it in the chat between us, means the word sapphire. Sapphire means that it's a certain kind of measure. In other words, if we look at a rainbow of light coming through the clouds, how is it formed? Well, we have white light of the sun, and when it breaks through the prism of sun, of light, through water, through the vapors of the clouds, we see this incredible, beautiful spectrum all the way from the infra or from the ultra purple, right? And all the way down to the infrared. In other words, all colors are there. This is exactly what the purpose of a Sephirah does. We cannot understand completely God because that's infinite energy, infinite consciousness. It's too much for us. Imagine you go to your child, or you go to a child, and you try to tell them with everything that you know, have with them a normal discussion about what you know and where they're holding in the sandbox in kindergarten. They're just not able to understand and to fathom your depth, your expanse of understanding. So much more so when it comes to God. It's way beyond our dimensions altogether, way beyond. So our reality, thank you, Mike, our reality and his reality are completely different. So God, in his compassion, and we discussed it in previous lectures, and this is proven today in quantum physics, is completely benevolent, completely kind, completely good, only light, no evil. We discussed how come there's evil in this world, because we as humans create it. How come there's bad karma to people, suffering, death, accidents, illnesses. In a way, not consciously, in our subconscious, we bring it on ourselves, whether it's karma that we deserve what we get, and even worse off, because we are very vulnerable and very sensitive, and we allow this to come to us. But God doesn't have any quarrel with you. He doesn't have anything against you. He doesn't want anything from you, only to give you good. So if you're not experiencing God good, don't go to God to complain. Go back into yourself and ask, why do I deserve it in my life? What can I do to nullify that, to go out of this terrible karma? Going back to what we're discussing, Sephirot means that light, that divine light that comes to us through different kind of prisms for us to understand it. And that's why we have in the crown completely white light, which means the light, as we know it today in physics, which contains all and just gives out. There is no receiving there. There's only giving. And that's what we understand about God. There is no receiving. He does not need me. He does not need us. He doesn't need anything that I do. What I do, God, listen up. I'm going to pray to you. I'm going to do an act of charity. I'm doing good for you. No, you're doing good for yourself. You're praying to God, through God, for yourself to be a better human being. But he does not need that on his accord. Yes, he did command us to do this, but for our own good. Nothing that he does is for his own good. Very similarly to a parent. We don't ask our children to do things for us usually, but we ask them to do things for them. They don't understand it. But from this we understand our relationship with God. So this is white light up there in the crown. Nevertheless, as we calm down that Sephirot structure, there is a direction there. And that's very important to understand that. The direction of the spheres, and let's look at that. I hope you can see my mouth as it moves along. Can you see me moving my mouth? I hope so. And if not, that's okay. You can just follow with the words in English. You go all the way from the crown chakra, which is white, and then you go down and from right to left. In other words, this is a spiral, three-dimensional structure. We only look at two dimensions because it's easier for us. It's too much. But the way down our body, the way down of our energy, the way down of the tree of life, the Etz-Chaim is called the tree of life in the Hebrew, is from top to bottom, from right to left, in a spiraling way. In a spiraling way. Why is that? Why do we need three lines? So this is the crux of this lecture, so let's discuss it. We need three lines as follows. The middle line we discussed, this is the middle essence of ours, and most of the organs we have in our body down the middle line are singular, such as our heart, my lips, my one nose, my one mind, my one pancreas, my one tummy, etc. But there's right and left because we have a choice. We have an incredible choice to make. The right direction, the right line, right? The right line, if you can bring it up, Mike, thank you so much. The right line that we're looking over there in the Sephirot structure is a line which tells us and teaches us about kindness, about compassion. It's the line of compassion. It's the line of giving or being proactive. Now, it's very important. This is a very big mistake of most people along this earth, right? Around this earth, which means most people are very much passive, either followers or just go to work, you check, you get your salary, your paycheck at the end of the month or every week or two, and that's it. You want to lie back in front of the TV and watch Ronaldo or today Messi or Mbappe or anyone else, which is great. But this is not what life is about. Life is not only about enjoyment. Life is to be like the image of God. What does that mean? We said that God is only giving. So he's giving us a chance to create, just like he creates. That means being proactive. You don't like your child's behavior, you have to be proactive. You don't like your financial situation, you have to be proactive. You don't like the fact that you're single, you have to be proactive. It's not going to come through the window. You don't like the fact that there's some challenges with falling pregnant. Well, the stock is not going to visit us through the window and bring baby in a basket. I didn't see that happen. No, not yet. Sarah and Mary, it's not going to happen. So we have to be very much correct. I can't even eat. I have to even go out and be in survival mode in order to bring myself food. Most of my physical needs I have to take care of. Nobody can eat for me. Nobody can go to the restroom for me. Nobody can bathe or bath for me. Nobody can breathe for me. Nobody can make my heart pulsate, my blood pressure to go up or down. It's only up to me. And if I neglect, it's not going to work. This is the right side of the Sephirot. Sephirot is the plural in the Hebrew of Sephirah, which is one, which is this sapphire, this incredible measure, incredible lens and prism of God to bring down that incredibly infinite energy and vibration of God into our world in the way that I can handle it. Did you ever try to look directly at the sun, especially through a telescope? The last time you ain't going to look at anything. It's going to burn your eyes. We have to use some kind of sunglasses and a prism between us in order for us to hold that incredible energy. This is the tree of life. All of it is compassion, because it shows that God understands that human beings, we cannot understand everything. We cannot hold all this energy. So he gave us a prism, Sephirah, in which to lower that vibration, that we can understand it, hold it, work with it. So let's summarize. The right line of the Sephirah, which he will see Chokhmah, wisdom, Chesed, kindness, and Netzach, eternity. This is a breakdown of different kind of Sephirot, which is the plural for Sephirah, the prism, which will be us being proactive. We're going to discuss now why we need three, not one is not enough. Let's one thing at a time. The right line. Kindness, being proactive, giving over to others. Do you think it's masculine or feminine? Well, definitely masculine. Because even if you're a great feminine, gentle woman, but it has to be masculine, because I have to do something about my life. When I see a homeless person, when I see a child cry, when I see an atrocity, when I see somebody drowning, I cannot sit idly and say, well, the American law does say that if I save somebody and in the process he dies, it's on me. That's true. That's very true. And that's a law that we have to check. But most likely I'm going to save the person's life. Give a hand. If I see a hit and run on the road, I can't drive by, because if I drive by, I will sit in jail, because you must be proactive. If you see your child, if you see your dog, if you see your animal crying out for food and you just neglect it and go to work, it's on you. So all of life is shouting us to us and calling, let's do something positive about it. And when you do, you change. You become a better person. This is the entire right side of the body. Whether you are left-handed or right-handed makes no difference. On a timeline, which is very interesting, on a timeline, that right line describes our future. In other words, when we want to break the ice, when we want to open a new business, when you want to walk into your new love nest of a home, you start with the right foot. Let's make a right step forward, which means we want the future is being described, absolutely so, by our right side. I deal a lot for many years with Kabbalistic medicine, which means we don't only look at symptoms. I'm speaking about this lecture. We don't only look at symptoms like doctors do, but on a holistic way, which is mind, body, spirit, and soul. We try to understand, many times successfully, what are the underlying root causes of the spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical realm. So, for example, if somebody's arm over here has got psoriasis, or somebody knocked over and wounded on his right or left or right foot, or right hand, or right eye, or right ear, or anything like this, we should know it's something that we feel very uncertain about, that is forthcoming in our future present, in the here and now. Right. If you have a question, there's a chat there. Please write it into the chat or write it down, and we're going to discuss it very soon in 19 minutes, 19. So the left side, you already start to wonder and scratch your head and say, well, what is the left side for? Well, the left side definitely describes our past. So if somebody gets hurt on the left, that means bad habits from the past, bad friends, memories, limiting beliefs that I bring from my past. Well, depends where it is in the body. Bad habits, we'll be discussing the legs. Because in the Hebrew, habits and legs is the same word. And the positioning in the body. If I have bad memories and people have hurt me emotionally, that will be that your upper chest on the left side will be sore. If somebody from your past is still there and you cannot eliminate them, let them go from your life in a positive way, you might get a twitch in your left eye because you have to deal with them, you have to live with them, and nevertheless, they're still part of your life and you're suffering from the very presence which is abusing you, for example. The left side discusses the fact and deals with on the practical everyday level that I need to also be on the receiving end, meaning as follows. When I give over this lecture to you tonight, you think I just started off, and you say I don't read from anything, you think I just started today 5 minutes before, and just let's read something and give it over to you. There are many, many years of study for me to speak to you like this. So I need to invest in myself with the purpose of giving it over to others. So all the left side will be Bina, Gvura, judgment, understanding, and splendor. Thank you, Mike. That will be the left side structure, which means I need to be on the receiving end. We're going to discuss soon why 3 levels. I need to be on the receiving end before I can give. You need to be impregnated for 9 months, be pregnant before you can deliver a child. It just doesn't come as a talk. You need to go to university, and the more years you go and invest in yourself, the higher you can save society. So you can say this selfish person became a doctor after going to stage and after going to be there for so many years, 14, 20 years to be a psychiatrist. But that's not selfish. That he invested in himself in order to serve the public on a very high level. If this is this reason, it's very good. If you don't have time to rest, you'll be really worn out and agitated and won't be able to give over in a proper way. You'll be going to the pantry to eat so much more because you're so tired and exhausted. So in order to give ourselves the right enjoyment, the right foods and nourishments, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, the right love that you need, right? You need that in your life, otherwise there is nowhere to give from. This is the left side defined by the Sephirot, plural of Sephirot, it's prism, which means that capacity inside us that we need to be on the receiving end in order to utilize it to give over to others later on. And I cannot do it without sitting and learning, investing, nourishing in myself if I want to give over to others as well. If a mother doesn't nourish herself properly, there won't be any milk for the child. That applies to nature as well, cows, etc. And so much more so if a mother is very unhappy and depressed or the financial situation strains her, no way she's going to smile to this child because he in himself is depressed or sad. So she needs to be given also nourishment from her husband, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, love, attention, enjoyment, in order to be able to give. So, just summarize, the left side of the Sephirot, plural for Sephirot, this prism, is that side which we need to be on the receiving end. It's an acknowledgement that I'm human. I cannot be godlike and just fast the whole day and get nothing because I'll die, and get no nourishment from the outside world spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically. And that's why there are levels there in the Sephirah world, as we're going to discuss shortly now, because I need that energy, I need that content in order to give over to others. So why is there a third line, that middle line? And Kabbalah, if you studied for many years, will teach you and will tell you the secret that the middle line is the biggest secret. Why? That is very important. If I went for a good long walk today, or for a run for gym, any one of you, and you're exhausted after a long day, and you want to go into the shower, and now it's winter in America, it's very cold. So you open the cold water, oh, it's very cold. You open the hot water, it's too hot, it's going to burn your body. So you open the warm water, which is a compromise between cold and hot. Compromise is not a middle line. The middle line is the line of balance. When I hear two sides of the story, I know that I need to be on the giving end to my child, to my students, to others, to community, to bigger needs, to homeless people, whatever it is that you serve at your career. On the other hand, I need to also time for myself. I need to work to live and not live to work. So it will always be a very delicate balance. It will always be walking a very tightrope. That middle line is that tightrope that we walk in life to know what to do, when to do, how much to do for myself, and then also to others. If I just do the left side of it, well, that means it becomes a very selfish human being, very self-centered, always angry at others because they steal away my time. If I just give on the giving end, well, that's Mama Teresa, that's beautiful. But even Mama Teresa, we don't know about her private life. She needed to eat, she needed to sleep, she needed to learn, she needed to converse with other nuns and this. She needed to, of course she needed to. So the right balance in life, that's the middle road, that's the middle line, which starts already all the way up from the crown, from my thought and my inner connection to God, all the way down to Malchut, the kingdom, where I can actually execute and bring to fruition and feel stability in my life, possessing these two sides. So far, hopefully, so good. So in the last 12 minutes that you got, I'm going to start discussing with you why is this tree of life has got 10 Sephirot and not just 3. One on the right, one on the left, one on top or at the bottom, maybe 4. But why do we need 10 so much? So this is very important. You can't jump into something without understanding the structure of it. Why do I need a house of 3 stories? And if you see over here, the 3 stories really. What are the 3 floors? The top floor is the first triangle up there, which is the crown, the wisdom, and the understanding. I'm trying to follow it with my mouth. I'm not sure that you can see it. The top 3 are everything to do with my mind, everything to do with my physical brain as well as emotional and spiritual. So that is very important. If you look at it, all of our senses, all of them, even though they might appear in other areas of my body, all my 5 senses are right there in my head. Why? My hearing is only here. My sight is only here. My smell, my sense of smell is right here. I can't smell any part of it's my lower parts of my body. My taste is right here. Did you ever notice it? 4 senses are right and only there, exclusively at the crown, wisdom, and understand. Why is that? The 5th one, which is the touch, well, people can touch with their lips and can taste different kind of things, whether it's electrical or not, whether it's hot, warm or hot, etc. But we can also touch with our hands, with our legs, that's true. But all the 5 senses, 4 of them are exclusive and 1 of them is not exclusive, only to the 3 first chakras, which cover all my brain, physically, mentally, emotionally, and physically. Why is that? Because my mind is detached mostly from most of my urges and feelings. I can make a calculated decision, a proper balanced decision with myself. I can make the decision in my mind to understand whether I want to eat more. Right? Please, if you can just mute yourself, because you can hear those that are not muted in many other places like on Facebook, and it does disturb. So please, if you want to be in this lecture, please mute. If you want to speak, you're welcome to go somewhere else and come back to listen to the recording, because I was just told that it very much disturbs other people who really are here to learn. And this is a very important lecture. So let's use the sense of hearing and not the sense of speech, because it is disturbing others. And so I'm asking you nicely and kindly, and I've been in a lecture for many years, please mute yourself. Thank you. Otherwise, you're welcome to leave this room and come back to hear the recording.
I think
Thank you so
somebody was
much.
just having some problems with audio feedback, but I think it's been solved now.
Very
So I
good.
think we're good.
Thank you so much. Okay. So the reason is very important. The reason is because that top three that called in the book of creation here, I'm quoting from this, is called the three mothers. Why the three mothers? Again, we're just discussing structure to understand where are we going. We're looking at the zoom out of the bigger picture. It's like landing. I live in Phoenix, Arizona, close to Phoenix, Arizona. So before you land, you see there, oh, beautiful Arizona. Who is the lake? He's that, like you land in New York. Oh, it's the Hudson River. So I'm giving you an overview to know where you're going before we drown in so many details. Rather have the bigger picture in your mind, and then it will make sense for you the rest of your life. So the three first ones, you can make a conscious intellectual decision, even an emotional intelligence decision. Do I really want this chocolate cake, or it's going to hurt my diabetes? Do I really want this drug if it's going to mess up my life? Do I really want to go down that gambling, or whatever it is, whatever addiction or urge that the person has, if it's going to really drain me and take away all my energy because of my negative ego? That decision will always be made in the top three, which is called the three mothers. The crown, which we're going to discuss in other next lectures, the crown, the wisdom, and the understanding. And this is why it's there, because these are the executive, the top-notch kind of spheres that we have. Again, if we will go now into the 7 chakras, there'll be only 2 there. That 2 will be the crown and the third eye. That third eye, we do have an equal system over here, which is the dat, which is the knowledge, which is a combination of understanding and chokhmah. Thank you, Mike. Yes. And so we do have something definitely there, which is called differently, right? For the third eye, the intuitive eye, the eye of wisdom, the eye of perception. Definitely we have that, right? So this is of very great importance. Now we go down, and the next level we have down there, after the first 3, are all this box, which is coming from my right shoulder, left shoulder, heart, which will start from chesed, which means kindness. You can see that back mic, that will be very nice. And that kindness and compassion, that will be my right side spheres, right? Left side spheres all the way down, thank you, Mike, will be the gvura, which means the limiting or the strength part of me, right? Then the middle will be the heart chakra, which we'll call Sephirot, which means glory. And then 2 other ones, which will be the netzach on the right, which is from my liver all the way down till the other my right foot, right? Which will be eternity. That's the right translation. And on the left side, that will be called glory, right? That will be the sphera of Hod in the Hebrew. Splendor, right? It's very good as well. And the 6th one, if we count 6 from it, will be a sod, which will be the foundation, which discusses our lusts, our desires, our self-gratification, sexual intentions, and drawing toward that direction. And we will need to learn how to balance all of them. Again, this system is very realistic. This is not a BSc course. This is not a science course. This is a human understanding. With all the practicality and challenges that we have as human beings, how do we not only operate intellectually, logically, but how do we deal with ourselves? What do we learn about this? How can we change our lives through this? And if we are lucky, and we can, the next level of understanding here will be already, how do we come to that tikkun, which is this incredible, beautiful word that we very much love to use, which means, what did we come to this world for to rectify? So let's just go slowly. So that middle cube, which holds 6 Sephirot, 6 prism chakras, which will be the justice on the left, the integration and right, and from the justice all the way down to the hold, to the splendor. On the right side, it will be the kindness and the eternity. In the middle, that will be the glory, which is our heart, and down there will be also that sphera, which also discusses our sexual organs, but also imagination and our different kind of addictions, etc. And then we come down to the last Sephirot, which is Malchut, which is execution. What comes out of us? So after all being said and done, how do we deal with it? So let's just summarize in a spiritual way. I have to really sit with myself, observe, contemplate, what am I made from? How am I built? Where am I going? And all of this is including right inside it, because also my subconscious and my unconscious is in my right side of my brain. I need to hear my different kind of visions. I need to hear my different kind of urges and different kind of pains that I feel in my body. And I can speak about them. All of this is right in all my senses exclusively. 4 and 1, the sense of touch, is right here only in my head. It's the first 3 fundamental spheres up there. And again, if you compare it to the chakras, there's only one. There's only the crown. So we've expanded on them because we need to, because we built with 2 ears, 2 eyes, we're 2 hemispheres in our brain, right? One chakra is not going to cover all of this. One chakra only shows me a unidimensional understanding. The Sephirot cover everything. They are inclusive of everything. Then we go down to that section which includes our lungs, our heart, our kidneys, our pancreas, the liver on the right, the tummy in the middle and a little bit on the left, as well as my spleen, and all the way down to the sexual organs, right? But on an emotional level, that discusses all our interactions as human beings with others. My communication skills, my love, my emotions, my being able to give and take, and we discussed it in length today, that I need to be able to receive and to nourish myself in order to be able to give to others, and the right balance in between them. And then we go down to that earthly, animalistic part of us, which is right at the bottom, from the sexual organs all the way down to the Malchut, which is execution. And that depends very much not only what we speak about and what we say and what we promise, but what we can also deliver. And you should ask yourself, and we should really be closing up now before your question, that is, the question that you should ask yourself, for example, will be, what would you like to hide from others? What is it that you're hiding from others that you wouldn't like others to know about? What is it, if you ask your significant other or those that are very close to you, siblings, family, that nobody should know about outside the walls of your house? This is our blind spot. This is part of what we came to this world to rectify, not to fix, because we're not broken, but to rectify. We are perfect human beings. We are spiritual beings that came to this world to have a physical experience, and through my body and flesh, as Job have said it, I can recognize and see God. I can see godliness. I can see where I need to rectify and what is my great prowess that should help me in that incredible journey called life. And why is life so long and not a 2-day project? Because it's not about just learning something theoretical. It's not about theology, not about philosophizing. It's about living it practically. It's about your lifestyle, about you working against resistance. It's about you trying to negate your negative challenges and inner tendencies that you feel that you have them. Why do you have them? Because this is your lot. This is what God has given you to do, where all of humanity, each one has got his own little package that they have to unpack and they have to fix. So I'm looking at my watch and I see it's time, pumpkin time, Cinderella time. So I wasn't able to see, since I'm only on Riverside, the questions, Mike. So if people have written questions, I would love to hear them, or they can come online. I can right now only see myself and Mike. I'm not sure which people were on the Facebook, can't see that, and either ask personally or through Mike. Please go ahead.
Okay, well, first of all, I would just like to thank you for that lecture. That was amazing, and everyone was commenting saying how great the material was. I'm going to right now unmute and just bring everybody up
Thank you so
from
much.
the messenger room, the classroom. So, guys, just give me 1 second, and I'll unmute you all. You can unmute yourselves. Okay, you guys can, now, if you have any questions for Dr. Gil, please go ahead.
Otherwise, Mike, if you have questions through the Facebook anyhow, or people that have written to your questions, you can be the one who starts. So anyone that wishes to, please go ahead.
If anyone has any questions or comments first, please.
The time to ask, don't be shy, because if you don't ask, you will never know.
Could I go? This is
Absolutely.
Joanna.
Yes,
Yes,
go ahead.
please.
Go ahead, Joanna.
Hi.
Hi.
So I'm an artist,
and I make
kind of like sacred geometry artwork from the stars.
Beautiful.
And I was wondering if
Thank you. I was wondering if there are any books for beginners with drawings and illustrations, but to learn more about the Kabbalah as a beginner. Like, what books do you recommend that have drawings?
Yes, that's a very good question. That's a very good question. So there are quite a few books around, and I can look it up again through Amazon. I did see in Amazon a book that talks about sacred geometries of Kabbalah, something along that line. I'm sure you can search it up. I don't want to waste everybody's time to just look at the title, but there's definitely books that are written on that subject. Now, I can't promise you that everything that they say it's in the name of Kabbalah, it is Kabbalah, but let's start with the Tree of Life. Let's start with sacred geometry, which involves the Star of Day. Let's start with the 72 names of God, which we're going to discuss. Let's discuss the basic, which we're going to discuss in the next few lectures as well, which is the Hebrew alphabet, because this is very important. And again, every language is sacred, every language is respected. People have devoted their lives, the generations, the thousands of years for languages to develop. Nevertheless, there's only one language, which the Bible calls the Holy Tongue, and it's a very short language in the sense that it's got only 22 letters. Now, the number 22, we're going to see appearing all these letters. They're going to appear very sacredly within the Tree of Life. And each one of them has got special kind of meaning, purpose, and shape, where according to the shape, it's got a sacred shape which appears either in the human body or definitely in your name, because your name is made up of these letters, which I made a lifetime study also out of that. And understanding that can give you a great deal of meaning. So if you really want to go ahead and make it alive, obviously, as you devote your life to this, start with the Hebrew alphabet from the letters, the way they appear. Let me put it for you in the chat, for example. Let me just see for 1 sec. Right, there's an Aleph, there's a Be, there's a Gimel, there's a Dal. So I put it into the chat between us. So each one of these letters, you can definitely research them into Google, but each one of them has got incredible meaning and its shape as well. For example, the first letter, like Aleph, which I sent now. Thank you, Mark. Thank you very much. Letter Aleph, if you see, it's got a trunk, a middle line, and 2 lines coming, one from the top, one on the bottom. That describes many, many levels. First of all, the human body and the 2 hands. One to the right, one to the left. So this is not something that we make up after the letter is there. We have very holy Kabbalistic books that were written on that thousands of years ago to explain the meaning of why that letter looks this way and what it describes within the Tree of Life and within the human body. Secondly, let's give an example. And if you look at my Facebook, Instagram, I think I already did the first 5 just to try to explain to the public what these letters are about, sacredly. The shape, the sacred shape. Secondly, the actual meaning of this letter Aleph means, right, Iluf means let us learn. It comes to teach us things. So somebody who's got A, for example, A is the same analogous letter in English to the Aleph in Hebrew, the same sound, not the same letter, but the same sound. Someone's got an A, Anna, right? Anyone's got an A, for example, somewhere in the name, which means that they have the power and they would like to have a very open mind, because you see this letter is open on all four sides of it. Compared, for example, to the second letter, which is bet, right, for example, and that should be a very closed up letter. From three sides it's closed. That's why the letter of creation was the bet, the B in English, which is a very shut down letter, because we do not understand everything that came before creation. But the Ten Commandments, for example, is given with the letter Aleph, because it's a very holy, sacred, above imagination kind of letter, which is open in all its direction, which means benevolent, kindness, giving. And the word in Hebrew for belief, emunah, starts with the letter Aleph. The word for love starts with an Aleph. There are so many, the word for father or a mother starts with an Aleph, Av, and which means it's a very holy kind of letter, meaning incredible benevolence, giving, open mind, right? Open heart, kindness. So when you have it in your name, it means one thing. And when you draw it, when you use it, when you discuss with other people, this is one of the greatest letters to have. And again, the way that you were called, it's also a small prophecy that was given to your parents, that's also Kabbalah. So this is a very good place to start, because if you know, like the Karate Kids, wish-wash, if you know the Arabic Aleph base, you've got the spiritual atoms of creation within you, and these are the building blocks that you can build everything else from. Thank you, Mike. Anyone else? Maybe, Mike, you've got a question for us? Anyone asked through the chat that I can't see through Facebook?
I don't think... Oh, sorry. Yes, I guess we have...
Okay, go ahead. No, you go ahead. It's okay.
I was just going to comment before Joanna had asked if there were any books on sacred geometry and Kabbalah. There actually was a book that I had. I don't know where it is now, but I would send it to you. It's called How the World Was Formed According to Sacred Geometry. And it includes how, and I also wrote in the chat, the Sephirot, which is the Book of Formation, which is written by Abraham. I'm sure Dr. Gil Tivon knows a lot more about that than I do. But yeah, it definitely very much goes into all the different patterns and how they are interconnected to the patterns of creation that you will find. And it's a very mathematic and precise system. So, like Dr. Gil was saying, just like with the Tree of Life, it's very much integrated into our everyday lives. So, yeah, I just wanted to comment on that. I think it was who had a comment? Aggie? Was that?
Yeah, sorry, I had a massive problem with hearing the whole thing because there was such an echo that I tried to take some notes, but I'm not sure that I got it right. So I do apologize if it's all wrong. But I just wanted to ask when you were describing the Sephirot, the infinite consciousness, and then the three from the top to the bottom, from the right to the left. From what I heard, the right line is a line of compassion and of giving, which is associated, if I'm not wrong, with the masculine, dominated by the masculine. But then by following that, the left side would have been described like the past and the memories, and that's what I got noted, but I do not get it right, which would have represented the feminine. And from what I've given was that everything that goes from the top is actually the connection that we call with infinite consciousness to the wisdom, to the crown chakra, and the third eye chakra. And then you spoke about the middle, which is the heart chakra. So is it right in thinking that the right line is the masculine, the left one is the feminine, or did I get it wrong?
You got it absolutely right. Very good. And the middle line is that balance between both. In other words, we know today, even in our DNA, that men and ladies, we've got both masculine and feminine X chromosomes and Y chromosome within us. Just that the male has got one chromosome which makes him into a male. and a woman's got one more chromosome which makes her into a female, but nevertheless we do all have that. And so we all should be proactive, and we should all be also sensitive. We should all learn to deal with our emotions and also to go out to do connects. So to summarize, the right side is definitely the masculine side, the left side is definitely the feminine, more feminine side in comparison. And the middle line is the balanced line where I must decide for each action, for each thought, for each emotion, is it in the right way, the right measure, emotional intelligence, under the circumstances to act, to behave, to feel, to share, to communicate in this right way. And that's why we have those three lines. And that is the game of life. This is the choice we have every minute of the day. Mike, last question maybe, because time is getting late. If there's anything else anyone wants to ask, please feel free to do so.
Listening to that was just the one thing about the new structure. When you looked at a new 3D picture, when we went from the macro to the micro, can that be very comparable to the Da Vinci's Bigger Man? Within the Kabbalah itself, with the arms open, legs open, and the legs closed, would that be correct?
Yes, so it's difficult to hear you. The reason not because of you, because of the echo between Facebook and Riverside. So everything I hear is through the echo of all the mountains of Arizona. So, Mike, if you can tell it to me in short, what did Joanna ask? Because I heard it in so many echoes, I was unable to understand.
I'm sorry.
That's what I've been doing.
Allow Mike for a second just to tell me, because he's got on one line. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, Aggie, if you could just rephrase the question again, because
we're talking about what we saw. I've seen a picture of the Kabbalah, and actually I've seen within the representation of the macro within the micro, which actually reminded me of the Da Vinci's Bigger Man, what you call it, the one with arms open. Does that have anything to do with that? The inspiration for him was that the inspiration that is being taken from him, or was one that was given to him?
So I understand. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for repeating your question, because I was unable to hear properly because of the echo. So
I'm going to bring the picture up right now.
Many ripples, right? And the answer is absolutely yes. So many of these people, from Pythagoras through, Leonardo da Vinci.
Yes, that one.
And again, it's Leonardo da Vinci, not Leonardo DiCaprio, right? All of these people definitely did study also Kabbalah. I'm not sure in what arrangement and from who they learned, but definitely Leonardo da Vinci had incredible sacred geometries, and he tried to depict them through the human body, and that's why it is a sacred thing. And by the way, the human body in Kabbalah is considered a temple. It's a sacred thing. It's not something to be ashamed of, but it's something which is very sacred, and it's holy because it's made in the image of God, because it represents higher worlds, because each organ, each limb, each side of it is of such great importance. We can win money and we can lose some money. The same is homes, we can change them, but I can't lose my body. I can't afford to lose any of my limbs or any of my internal organs. So definitely that structure is holy, and he definitely got it right, Leonardo da Vinci. It's not the whole story, but it goes a long way to explain. So if you got any other questions, I'm going to write here my email as well, and I'm sure, just write it here into the chat, and I'm sure Mike you can also turn to Mike. Right now, it should be this way, and you can never be, if it's too short, you can never try and email me. There you go, there's my email there, and you can never try and reach me through the email, or Mike, if you've got any other questions. I really enjoyed being with you tonight. Thank you so much. From my perspective, and I heard the buzz and the vibe and the electricity in the room. It was very good, and we got through the message, and I see your response as well. So I thank you very much for participation. I thank you very much, Mike, for hosting us.
Thank you.
And I wish you all a great weekend and a happy New Year to all of you.
Thank you very much. Happy New Year. Thank you very much.
Happy New Year to all of you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Good night.
Thank you, Dr. Gil.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, everybody. So that was another episode of Inner Secrets Revealed, Kabbalah class with Dr. Gil Tivon. Again, I would like to thank everybody who participated for making this yet another great class. And of course, I'd like to thank Dr. Gil Tivon for putting this lecture together and for putting so much effort into getting this knowledge and this information out there for the public. Again, if you'd like to reach out to Dr. Gil Tivon, if you didn't catch the email address, you could get him at giltivon@gmail.com. And if anyone would like to contact me, I could add you to a list or to a group where you'll get updates about new podclasses and videos that are coming up. You could also reach me on Facebook, Instagram, or you can email me at thatdudemike023@gmail.com. Excuse me. I hope you'll be able to join us next time. Please remember, if you're watching on Facebook, please follow the Mental Health, Spirituality, Mysticism, and Metaphysics Facebook group. Or if you're watching on YouTube, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel, and then hit the bell for notifications on new videos and updates when new videos are posted. The YouTube channel, again, if I didn't mention this before, is Metaphysical Sciences TV. You just type in Metaphysical Sciences TV, where you can find an old archive of old episodes from podclasses from both Dr. Gil Tivon and my own past videos and podclasses titled Mental Health, Spirituality, and Metaphysics Talk with Mike Ray. Remember, we'll see you here for another episode of Inner Secrets Revealed, Kabbalah class with Dr. Gil Tivon next week. Same time, same place, even more to discover. Thank you all again. We hope to see you next time. Have a great morning, afternoon, or night. I'm Mike Ray, and this was Inner Secrets Revealed, Kabbalah class with Dr. Gil. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much, Mike, for all your